Hey everyone, I'm about to start overwintering my peppers. I have harvested everything from them this week, and the temperatures are really starting to get a little lower here in New York City, so it's time for me to put them inside. So I'll try to see if they will last until next season. Last year I overwintered a few of them and all of them survived. So this is mid-November. As you can see in the background, the leaves are all turning. Today is actually a nice day. It's in high 60s, but last week the temperatures were really cold. So some of these peppers, like this guy, they're not, the leaves are just kind of droopy and they're very easy to get off of the stem. So I really want to make sure that I take some time to start putting them in now. So the first thing you want to do when you're overwintering them, I have already pruned this one. Let me try to get one that's not. And mine has are really branchy, but get this one that's kind of turning yellow. You can see that there are little leaves. I guess they're like kind of sucker, kind of growing on in between the bigger leaves in here. Those little nodes, they will be just become a new stem. But what you're looking for when you're pruning them to overwinter is this V over here. So there's a lot of stuff that I put in here, so let me think. So you see this little V-shape thing, so you can cut right over here, and then some people say a W. There is more branches coming through. I didn't know about this last year, and I just cut them kind of short, and they still came back, but there's a couple peppers in here still that I missed it. So you can look for that, and then you can cut. You can even leave two of this. There's one V here, there's another one here, another one here. You can leave more if you want to. Then you want to remove all the leaves. I know that's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but you can't have any leaves on them when you go in. I'm gonna put these leaves all in my compost. And let me put this down now. I'm gonna cut this in here. And I'm gonna keep this one up here too, I think. This one is another branch that has grown from the bottom, right here. So actually, you see how many, there's a lot of branches coming up here. I'm not an expert on this, but I would say, because what happened to me last year, even if I cut it down here, all of these guys will probably come back in a bushy form to next season. But I'm gonna do what I have learned. I will stick to it because I don't want to teach anything that's wrong. But I'm gonna leave these guys here. And there's a bunch of little knots, so I think that all of this next year will probably branch out. And I'm gonna take this whole one out. I'm not gonna cut completely. I'll leave a little stem in here. More peppers. And I'll cut all these little ones off. After you prune and looks like this, take most of the leaves off. I'll leave these little ones, but you can take it'll probably eventually die. Take everything off. You can take these leaves out to put in the compost. I'm leaving mine here to compost in place. And I'm going to add some fresh potting soil to the top. This is ready now to be put inside and overwintered. Now it's recommended that you put this by a window. You can just simply put it on a window together with your house plants. You do not want to water them very much because this plant's going to go dormant, so it's not really going to take up all the water. I watered mine maybe like once a month last year. I would probably stick your finger all the way to the soil, and if you still feel some moisture, you don't need to water, but you don't want the soil to completely dry, so it can damage the plant. So a little bit of moisture is fine. So I would say it depends on really how dry is the place that you're putting them in, but for me it was about once a month that I lightly water them. Last year I actually moved them to these little pots and I overwintered them in these little pots. I'm not doing that this year. I don't really want to damage the roots. I heard that it doesn't matter, it's okay to cut, because some people take from the raised beds and dig around the roots and put them in a pot. But I'm just choosing to leave in the pot that it is. It's not that big. I'm gonna go ahead and do that with all my other peppers, the varieties of peppers that I'm gonna label them, because after you prune them you most likely won't be able to tell the difference. I'm just gonna do that with all my other peppers. I have 5 peppers here that I'm putting inside. I have a lot of peppers, also this green stalk. And after I see how this looks inside, I'm gonna see if I can take one tier off of that green spot in there, cover with soil too, then just overwinter a whole tier, because I have a couple tiers with only peppers in there. So that will be how update that. That an update on my next garden tour. But for today, just wanted to show you what I do to overwinter peppers. This is truly great because peppers take a really long time to germinate, and if you have cold winter, or if you don't have grow lights in your house, it's really hard to start peppers from seed. So I did not have a lot of success with my peppers from seed last year. They all stayed small and didn't grow so much, but the ones that were overwintered did much better. So I'm doing that again next year. I'll still try to start some peppers inside, but I definitely want to just have a few in to peace of mind that I'll have some peppers in the season. So because also they already have the root system established, they will just get all the new growth, new stems, and they'll start producing fruit much sooner than the ones that you start from seed inside. Please let me know if you're going to be trying to overwinter your peppers in the comment section down below, and if you have a different method or anything else that you do that you have success with it in the past, just please share, and I'll try to share with everybody in the next garden tour too. But this is what have worked for me. I'm gonna go ahead and put this inside. Also, don't forget to like the video, and you can give me a follow on Instagram if you want to as well, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see how these peppers are going to look like next year and where they're going to be in my garden design plan that I'm doing in my permaculture class. I will keep going here, and I'm going to do the same that I did with all the other peppers and go ahead and put them inside. Actually, I just remembered that I forgot to mention an important thing. Before you bring them out for the spring, it's very important that you acclimate them. I say that just bring them outside. If it's still cold, it's just like with seedlings, they will need to get used to the sun again. So if it's still cold, you have to bring them in for the night. So you have to do the whole acclimation process, the same thing you do with your seedlings, that would give them out, take them outside for 1 hour first, and then so they can get some sun, and then put them back in. Next day give them a couple hours, then next day 3 hours, so that way the leaves don't completely burn when they just come outside from being dormant in the winter. So last year, because there's a light that's constant out on the highway where I finished overwintering them, they had some new growth already, so some of their leaves were very thin and they needed to be acclimated. But don't worry about it, just make sure that you subscribe, so next year you see how I'm taking these peppers out and how I am acclimating them so they can come out and grow again for the spring and summer. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.